Hi, I'm Tasha. I want to thank you for considering us to manage your property. Before we sign the asset management agreement, I like to walk you through the key sections so you know exactly what you can expect from us and what we'll expect from you. We believe in being transparent from the beginning because the best partnerships are built on clear communication. So let's take a look at that agreement together. Let me share. All right, here is our agreement. So, of course, here we'll put that the agreement is made between you, the owner, and 326 Services, which is the agency that my sister and I work with and own. We've been doing this since 2017. We've managed at least over 25 properties. We try to keep them to a minimum because we want to make sure that we're able to give all of our properties and our owners the attention that they need. And we also have full-time jobs, so we don't want to take on too much. And we want to be able to spend time with our families. So this is why we try not to take on too many properties and we keep things to a minimum. And we're very specific about the properties that we do take on. Our commitment to your property. Um, Let me make sure. So, our first responsibility is to thoroughly inspect your property. Within 5 business days of taking over management, we'll complete an inspection with photographs and provide you with a written report. If we identify any maintenance concerns or recommendations that will improve the property's condition or rental potential, we'll discuss them with you before moving forward. Leasing your property. Oops, number two. Uh, we handle the marketing and marketing your property, showing it to prospective tenants, screening applicants, negotiating lease terms, and preparing lease agreements. Our goal is to place qualified tenants while protecting your investment, and we will not enter into any leases outside the agreed upon lease without your written approval. So let's just say that you have a property and you say that you want a 1 year to 2 year lease. And then a tenant moves in and says, hey, can we just do a 6 month lease? We will not enter into a 6 month lease without first discussing it with you, giving you the pros of it, of doing a 6 month lease, or the cons. And if it's more cons than pros, we'll be sure to tell them, no, that's not an option for us. Advertising and promotion. So we advertise your property through appropriate marketing channels to minimize vacancy. If advertising expenses exceed the amount outlined in the agreement, which is $100, we'll obtain your approval before incurring those costs. We're usually able to keep it under $100 when we're marketing your properties, but sometimes we understand that there are certain avenues and places that owners love their properties to be marketed. And if they incur costs more than what we are usually charging to market, then we will be sure to send that bill to the owner. Oh, I need to fix that. I'll get on that. Maintenance and repairs. So, as your asset manager, we coordinate maintenance and repairs to keep your property in good condition. For routine repairs over $200, we'll contact you for approval first. However, if there's an emergency involving safety, significant property damage, or interruption of essential services, we'll authorize the repair immediately to protect your investment and then notify you as soon as possible. Vendors and contractors who will be working on your property. We hire and supervise all qualified vendors and contractors as needed. If reimbursement for property income isn't available, like if we don't have a reserve for your property, we'll be sure to, well, those responsibilities will be charged to the owner, but sometimes what we offer is just reimbursement through the rent. So let's say that the cost is $400 for an HVAC repair. Um, what we'll do is the next month's rent, we'll take the 400 out of that, and we'll also take out the asset management fee, and then we'll just give you whatever is left. Some owners prefer that. Some owners like to pay up front. They like us to send the bill. You and I can discuss that once we move on further if you agree to continue on with 326 Services as your asset management team. Let's see. Legal compliance. We manage your property in accordance with all applicable federal, state, and local laws, including Georgia landlord tenant laws and fair housing regulations. Currently, Shayna and I do not manage properties outside of Georgia. We love to manage properties that we're able to go visit, lay our eyes on, and walk into. So any properties outside of that, we definitely stay away from currently until we can grow. Now, once we get our other siblings involved and able to grow, that'll be a different story. We will be able to be in Florida, Arkansas, all of that. So that would be exciting. Let's talk about insurance. So, on this agreement, we do say that the owner shall obtain insurance. You'll maintain the required blah blah talk. You'll retain the required insurance coverage for the property, and the agreement also requires that our company be listed as an additional insured where applicable for both the protected while managed. So we're both protected while managing your investments. So what does that mean? Because I know that's like, what are you saying, Tasha? Because we're not trying to protect you and your sister while you're managing our property. So recently, I think 2 years ago, we had Hurricane Helene. And when Hurricane Helene happened, there were properties that only had the owner as the insured person on the insurance, and they had to go through a lot of paperwork, a lot of phone calls to add us on as part of the insured so that we can make the claims to get the properties fixed. A lot of our property owners are out of town, so coming into town, especially during Helene, was not convenient for them to get their property fixed, but we couldn't make the phone calls on their behalf because we weren't on the insurance. This is one reason that we request to add us to it so that if anything happens, a tree falls on the property or something where we need to make a claim, we're able to make that claim on behalf of your property. There is not anything that we're asking for coverage for ourselves. We just want to make sure that we're able to make that phone call for your property and your asset so that we can make sure it's taken care of as soon as possible without you having to do any work. Let's talk about rent collection because, after all, that's what we're here for. Um, we make every reasonable effort to collect the rent on time each month. If a tenant becomes delinquent, we'll issue the appropriate notices, and with your authorization, where required under the agreement, coordinate the legal process necessary to enforce the lease or recover possession of the property. While we'll manage the process professionally, we cannot guarantee rent collection or eviction outcomes. So it will be our job to make sure that we go to court if a tenant isn't paying. We'll mail out the notices, the postage fee. We will send a receipt, and we'll have it in your file so that you know that yes, we are preparing to evict your tenant. We send out notices after the 10th day of them being late. And then we send out another notice letting them know that we are preparing the eviction process. We will prepare to go to court. If the tenant decides before we go to court, hey, I do want to pay this, they then do have to pay the postage fee, and they also have to pay the eviction fee. that we had to fill out in court to make sure everything is done. We do not charge anything to the client, you, the property owner, unless the tenant decides, hey, I'm not going to do, I'm going to go to court. I'll fight it out. We'll go to court and fight it out. Once the tenant loses, then we will recoup everything that we spent to go to the court from the deposit that we give back to you. Let's see. Bank accounts, reserve accounts, financial management. All rental income is deposited into our property management trust account. From there, we pay approved property expenses, establish reserve funds when needed, and provide you with your monthly owner distribution after expenses are paid. There's not too many property expenses that we have. The ones that I've mentioned previously, such as court fees, or if there's a repair that needs to be done, rather than asking you to cut a check, we just pull it out of the monthly rent. Those are the different items that we're referring to when we say after property expenses have been taken out. Monthly reporting. Uh, each month, we do try to provide or we create an owner statement. We, at the beginning of us starting this, we do create an Excel file, and I'm sure there are many better ways to do this, but for me, an Excel file is easier to let you know what's going on with your property, when we receive the rent, how much we've put into your account, how much was paid to the asset manager, and then if we have any repairs, we'll include that in the lines as well. So you can see, hey, yeah, in September, I had the asset management fee taken out. We also had to get a ceiling repair, or we need to get a new ceiling fan in there. So I see the cost of the ceiling fan. I see the cost to get it put in. And then usually when we do repairs, there is a 5% repair fee that we charge. So when I say 5% repair fee, let's say that you need a new ceiling fan. We get the ceiling fan. We get the person to come out, and the handyman to come out and put the ceiling fan up, and he charges us $10. So you purchase the ceiling fan because that will come out of the rent for next month, and then we pay the handyman $10, and then on top of the $10 fee that we'll charge for the handyman fee, we have a 5%. Okay, find your words, Tasha. We have a 5% fee, so that means that 50 cents will go towards our management team. So for that repair, you paid $10.50 plus the cost of the fan. And we got the 5% fee, which is that 5% fee covers our gas. It covers the time that it's going to take for us to make these phone calls and organize and check and make sure everything is okay. 50 cents isn't much, but every little bit counts, especially today with everything being the way it is. So, um, yeah, let's see what else we have here. I kind of touched on the management fees, compensation of the agency with that. So, aside from the 5% fee that is charged when we have to do a repair, our agency collects the first month's full rent once we take on the property. After that, we charge 10% each month. It doesn't matter if we have to renew a lease. With the same tenant, if we renew the lease, we only get 10% from there. From the time that the tenant moves in or the time that we take on the property, the second month, to the time the tenant moves out, 10% goes to us. If that tenant stays in there for 10 years, then for 10 years, we only collect 10% unless we create another agreement and we add addendum that we add to this. Should the tenant move out and we have to go through the whole process of flipping your property, making sure that we do the marketing and everything is done and get new tenants in, then at that point, do we do another? We get the first full month's rent and then we start the 10% after that. Communication. So we believe communication is key. We'll keep you informed of any significant maintenance issues, lease concerns, legal matters, or recommendations affecting your property. We ask that you respond promptly to approval requests so we can continue providing excellent service to your tenants. Term and termination. The agreement begins on the effective date listed in the contract. After the initial term, it automatically renews on a month to month basis. And either party can terminate the agreement providing the required written notice. The agreement also outlines termination rights if the party fails to meet its obligation. Um, If you decide to sell the property, we do ask that you let us know just so we can give the tenant a heads up so we know, what's coming up, what is going to happen, and that we can prepare our agency, the tenant, for any sales that's about to come up. Um, I think that is pretty much the most important parts. Um, We provide a lease to your tenant. Any of these items, we handle arbitration. Um, I am thankful that we've not had to hire any attorneys for anything, and I hope that continues. If we need to do any modifications to this lease, we will do them in writing first. I will shoot you an email to let you know what changes are going to be made, and then I'll also include the addendum that we're going to make to the agreement, um, so that we are both on the same page and that it is signed and we know what we're getting ourselves into. Our goal is to make owning a rental property as stress free as possible while protecting your investment and maintaining positive tenant relationships. We work as your representative, but we also follow established policies and Georgia law to ensure everything is handled professionally and consistently. So before we move forward, do you have any questions about the agreement or any concerns you'd like to discuss? I want to make sure you're completely comfortable before we sign. Um, Let me stop sharing. Oop, there we go. I don't even know if I was on the corner of the video, but um, I am going to send you this video. I'll also send you a copy of the agreement that we just reviewed. And I'll also send you a copy of the lease that we send the tenants so that you'll see what we're asking of the tenants as well as what we expect of our owners. I look forward to working with you. I hope this video has been helpful with what's going to happen if we decide to move forward with this agreement together. I'm looking forward to working with you. Once again, I'm Natasha Robinson with 326 Services, and I hope we meet soon. Talk to you later. Bye.